Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Shift and State. Today we're in the hangar here in my garage, and it's still a little crazy outside. The snow has finally melted, but today we got rain, which is much needed because we got all that salt and sand on the road, so hopefully that's being washed away. While we're here in the garage and the weather is clearing up, spring is right around the corner. I feel it. It's right there. We're so close. But because we are so close, we're about to pull the Warbird back out, put her back out there on the road and everything. She's been sitting for a couple of weeks, been very sad. But with that said, everybody's going to be venturing back out on the road, putting in many miles, and I want to make sure everybody's safe as possible. So as I was out here cleaning up the garage and everything and admiring my beautiful machine right here, I actually found one of the old books from my riding academy class that I took through Harley-Davidson, and it was talking about T-Clocs. So if you took the class or, looked around online a little bit, you've probably heard of T-Clocs. And that's covering and checking over your bike, doing a little pre-ride inspection before you go out most of the time I'll say. And that's covering your tires, controls, lights, oil, chassis, and your side stands, which is kickstand, whatever you want to call it. But this is a little helpful book that I got from my riding class, and I read it over once in a blue moon. Probably never, but but anyways, it is a helpful little book. And like I said, today I want to talk about T-Clocs, checking over your bike, making sure you're safe as possible. The road out there is dangerous enough with other cars and stuff on the road, so let's do our part to be as safe as we can. And you got to think, we're on two wheels. 1, 2, that's all you have, between you and the road and going down. So nothing around you to protect you when you go down except that little helmet on your head. And in some states, you don't even have to wear that. So with that said, let's go ahead, get the video started, and talk about some T-Clocs. All right, first things first, let's go ahead and take a knee here. First thing to cover on T-Clocs is the letter T, and that's tires, wheels and tires to be exact. So the first thing you're going to do is come on over here, get a close look at that tread. This tread is actually pretty good. You got some gauges you can buy to check that out and double check, but checking with my good old eye here, tread is pretty good. Okay, next thing you want to look for is make sure there's no punctures or anything in that tire, so you don't have any leaks or anything like that while you're out on the road. The next thing you want to make sure you're checking out for before you head out on the road, tire pressure. Make sure everything is at the right pressure, everything you need it to be, so you get a nice smooth ride with plenty of control, or maximum control that you can get. So I said this tire is good, but considering I'm starting out the riding season this year, and I plan on putting in a lot of miles this year, just praying, but I got a new front tire up there. I'll be ordering a new back tire. So once you checked over your tires, make sure everything's good there, nice beautiful tire, that looks safe. If you can, possible, get your bike jacked up, and then give this wheel a nice little spin. You'll be checking your bearings, listen for any kind of grinding or anything like that in the bearings, and then maybe give it a little shake to see if you feel any kind of play in it or anything like that. Because the worst thing you want to do is be out there on the road doing about, your safe speed rating of 65, 80 miles an hour or more safely, and have a bearing go out on you. You got 2 wheels, not 4. So that's not gonna be a fun ride. So check the bearings, check your tires, make sure the pressure's good, make sure there's no patches, wires, or anything showing, no punctures, and there's no cracks in the wheel here. Check it all over, see any, dents, dings, whatever. Just check that over. So let's go ahead, move on to the next. All right, moving on. Moving on to the letter C. C for controls. That's going to be starting with checking your handlebars, making sure those are nice and tight in place. Then let's come on over here, check your clutch. Moves freely. No cracks or anything like that. We'll go on to the other side in just a second. Check your brake lever here. That moves pretty freely. No cracks there. Your next one would be check your throttle. Give it a nice little turn, moves pretty freely, and flicks on back nice and smooth. So that's pretty good. Then come on down here, Make sure this is nice and tight. Your shifter here. I've seen a lot of videos where people were driving along and that's gone. And that's not fun to try to figure out how to get that home after that. So check that. Check this bolt here especially. Check over here, back in there. Make sure it's all nice and tight and clean. Yeah, so that's your controls. Just make sure everything's nice and tight, clean, no cracks, anything like that. And we'll move on to the next. Next up on the list, lights. L for lights. So checking over the lights. Lights come on. Beautiful Hogworks lights at that. All right, so the lights are on. Switch is on, good. Now we'll check our turn signals. Looking good. Repeat that over here on the left-hand side. Looking good. Then we'll hit our brake lights. Boom, looking good. Looking good. And looking good. How's that headlight going? Shine bright like a diamond. So lights are all good. I would also take a little step further. If you can, just make sure there's no exposed wires or anything like that. If you can go up under there and check and make sure, especially back here, if you, let's just say you put it together real good and you ran your lighting wires through here somehow on the side or whatever, just check that, make sure nothing's hanging up or anything like that. So that'll be your lighting, covering that while you're up here. Make sure your mirrors are good, no cracks, anything like that. You almost saw my ugly face, I'm sorry about that. But check your mirrors, good stuff like that. Check your lightings, left turn signal, right turn signal, brake lights, and your hazards. Make sure those all work, and that not only keeps you safe, but helps prevent you from getting pulled over. You know, that bag back there is not mine. That's the wife's. So after you check that, we'll move on to the next. Boom. Next up, O for oil. You're checking your fluids basically. So come on down here, take a knee, depending on your bike, find where your oil goes. Check it, check it. Then we got fluids, check it. Brake fluids, check it. So your oil, basically just checking your levels, making sure everything where it's supposed to be on that little leveling thing. Not gonna go into too much detail on that. Brake fluid, take a look at it. Levels look good. You wanna make sure you're placing the brake fluid like you're supposed to. Get away with it, I'd say about 2 years, maybe, pushing it. But that stuff will get gunky and build it up and cause more problems the longer you wait. So keep it fresh, keep it clean. Make sure you're checking it, but give it a nice pushy push. Make sure everything's moving freely. Yeah, okay. And some of you do have, I have a cable clutch, but make sure you check it if you have a hydraulic clutch too. Forgot about that. I got a 21, so it's cable clutch. But check your fluids over. Your fluids are very important because, again, you'll be driving down the road, driving along, and all of a sudden, and now you're stuck on the side of the road. Or worse yet, you're going down the road, pushing that brake, and you're still going down the road. Hopefully not into a turn. But fluids, letter O, oil, make sure you're checking all that stuff, keeping your bike nice and safe. Let's move on to the next. All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to a very crucial, very important one, and you need to really get into detail on this one. Another C, that's for chassis. You want to check your bolts and everything going over this whole bike. Make sure they're nice and tight. So again, you're not going down the road and going down on the road next after that. But go through a lot of these, like I used to have a Sportster. I used to have to come up in here. There's some bolts in there. I really had to tighten down for like the motor mounts and stuff like that because a whole lot of shaking. But this bike's a little bit smoother, more comfortable ride. But you still want to go through, check these bolts, check your footboards, all that stuff. Wheels, make sure they're nice and tight. Check your belt back there on the other side, make sure that's right. Checking the belts, you're checking for cracks and stuff like that. Especially, you know, being a belt, rocks can get in there, cause damage. And again, that's going to leave you on the side of the road, so you don't really want that. But just go through the bike, check it all over. This will also help prevent leaks or anything like that. Especially with the air filter here, just looking at that, you be driving down the road, say these are loose, and then that's gone. Especially on an older bike or something like that, boom, air filter down the road. So go over the bike, check it out. Again, handlebars, make sure they're nice and tight. You know, everything's just nice and snug. If you want to pull out a torque wrench and go down on it like that and make sure it's where it's supposed to be, good. I definitely even say check your saddlebags. You know, on the older touring bikes like that, they have a tendency to fall off too. So go over that. Check your belts. I would definitely even say your exhaust back here. Check that. I actually I love my Vance & Hines exhaust here, but one of the bolts, I don't know if you can see it, but I lost one. Luckily I was able to find a replacement. So, but I like to make sure everything's nice and tight. So I spend a lot of money on this stuff. I don't want to lose it. You know, maybe you'll check that out. Make sure that's nice and tight. That's another Hogworks product there. Horn, again, footboards, shifter linkage. Make sure that's nice and tight. Even checking the little derby cover here, making sure that's good to go. Your brakes, check that. But check the bike over, especially when it comes to the chassis. Make sure there's no cracks or anything in that chassis, because that could go very, very bad. So once you're done checking all that over, we got one thing left to check. All right, so last thing on the list, taking a knee again, down on the ground, checking that kickstand, side stand, whatever you want to call it, the thing that holds the bike up. Make sure you check that, because you don't want to pull up to your local bike night and look like an idiot and set your kickstand down and drop the bike. Or even go inside to eat, come outside, and boom, she's on the ground. So, or worse yet, you're driving down the road. The thing just decides to fall on down by itself. You lean into that curb and you can't lean no more, because now you're going down. That's S for side stand, forgot to mention that. But check that kickstand, side stand, whatever you want to call it. Check that out. Make sure the bolts are on there, because, I mean, I guess you don't tighten those bolts down either. You'd be going down the road and it just goes bye-bye, and now you can't get off your bike because you got to hold it up. That's the last one on the list. More so, guys, is like this. You paid a lot of money for your machine. Or if you spend a couple $100, it's your machine. It's two wheels. Do your best to be safe, and then once you get out of the road, if you want to drive like an idiot, by all means, go drive like an idiot. But I'd rather be safe, because I like going home at night to my beautiful wife. So I only said that so she won't beat me. But no, I love her very much. But check the machine over. I myself, I like coming out the garage and just sitting down and staring at this beautiful thing anyways. I love my Harley, brother. But I know these parts can get expensive, you know, replacing tires, belts, stuff like that. But what's even more expensive is your life. And you only get one of those, and you got two legs, two arms, and one brain. At least use that brain. So protect the rest of you. And I try to push, and I know I'm not a good, I won't say I'm the best advocate for it, because I still break the rules too, but make sure you're wearing your helmet. Wear your gloves. That's my biggest thing. I don't wear my gloves sometimes, but wear your gloves while you're riding. Wear that helmet. Throw some boots on. We are going to have fun on these machines. Sometimes we push it a little bit further than we should, but let's try to make sure we're safe. And when we go out there to be stupid, we're being somewhat smart being stupid. So, but yeah, just check the bike over. We got time right now before we pull it out, head out on the road. And last year for 2024, we had, you know, a lot of accidents out there, even some fatalities on there. This year for 2025, I really hope to see none, but if anything, a whole lot less than what we saw last year. I don't want to hear the news about my fellow riders going down and not going home, you know, because of something that definitely could have been prevented. Or, I mean, let's put it this way. If you keep your machine running as best as possible, when the time comes and you need it, let's make sure it's working right, so you can hopefully get out of a situation that you got put in. You know, if the handlebars aren't tight enough or whatever, and you try to swerve and miss something and that thing slips, it's not, you just up that ante on you going down. Same thing with the brakes. You know, if your brakes aren't properly working, which now I say that, definitely need to replace my brakes, because yeah. But But yeah, you go to pull those brakes and it's not slowing down like it's supposed to. Well, you just, you know, up that risk factor. So all these little things add up. Tires, all that good stuff. Like I said, even with my tire up here, this is still a good tire, but I'd rather go ahead, throw that new tire on there just to add that little bit of more comfort in my mind that I have a fresh new tire on there. I believe these are the same tires that came with the bike. So I got this in 21, so we're going to 25. It's getting damn close. So replacing the front, the back. It can get expensive maintaining these machines, but I think the cost of failure or an accident, injury, or whatever, I think that's outweighed by whatever amount of money you're going to put into this. And if you don't feel like it's safe enough to ride, then don't. And I know that kills us. It kills me. The thing that like, oh man, I gotta put off riding just a little bit longer, but I'd rather go out there and do it safe and miss a week or 2 or 3 compared to the machine going down and now I'm out for a whole year. And I mean, last year I seen a lot of people do that. Their bikes went down and they were out for the rest of the riding season because of something that could have been prevented just by a little bit of maintenance and checking over the bike before we ride. And I will admit to this, when I go out and ride, I don't check it every time I go, but I do check my tire pressure, make sure that's good. I do check my fluids, make sure that's good before I head out. Sometimes my brake lights and everything like that. But when you get time, go out in your garage and you're just sitting there with that cold one in your hand and you're admiring your beauty, just get up, walk around it, check those tires, you know, check the belt, check the fluids, check your lighting, and you might end up preventing something that'll leave you stranded on the side of the road. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry you didn't get to see my beautiful face. I'd rather be behind the camera. But with that said, riding season's coming up. It's almost spring. The birds are chirping out there because they won't shut up while I'm filming. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Since we're talking about oil and stuff, I think maybe one of my upcoming videos I want to cover, because I've been interested myself, but I'm not going to be that guy that goes on Facebook or whatever chat room or whatever and be like, what's the best oil for my bike? I'm not going to ask that question. But in the comments below, what oils do you guys use? You're asking for a friend. So, oh man, I'm dumb. Anyways, so leave that a comment. Hopefully you like this video. Hit the subscribe button. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, the TikTok. Let's see, Facebook. Yeah. All the social media platforms. I'm on there. Check it out. Hit the subscribe button. Give me a like, follow, all that good stuff. And maybe in one of these upcoming videos, I will cover, you know, what oil I decide to go with when I go to do my oil change here coming up. No, I'm not going to do a how-to video on how to do oil change because I get irritated working on this thing. But thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time.